Excellent. Hello and welcome back to our 10th anniversary live stream for Dungeons & Dragons Online here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live. I'm DDO's Community Manager Cordovan, going till at least 9 o'clock tonight. Oh, and by the way, I'm also joining the dams of the DDO at 10:30 p.m. to continue the madness into the wee hours o' the morn. However, we have a turbine party going on. Party celebrating 10 years of DDO, and who should stop by but one of our art directors. How you doing?
Ex-art director.
Yeah, ex-art director. Yeah, former art director. Well, I mean, you're still an artist. You're just not an artist on DDO.
Yeah, I'm an art director elsewhere.
Cool. So let's just do it like a first name, if that's all right.
All right. My name is Jeff.
Cool. And when did you start working for Turbine?
Oh, back in March of 2008, I believe.
March of 2008?
Yep, just
All right.
before the reboot of DDO.
So were you basically hired on to do what? What was one of your first projects? Do you remember?
Well, I remember being told that we need to make the game look beautiful. So my main goal, I think, was to take the existing art and beautifying that and then creating new art to kind of complement that as well, because we were in preparation of relaunching the game and we wanted it to look the best it could, and just basically give it a facelift.
So you're talking about the monsters, the characters, the public
Everything.
areas, the whole
The
shebang.
whole kit and caboodle.
And so, what did you do?
Well, I mean, as the art lead, I think I started as an art lead, and then I worked into the role of art director. But my role was kind of interesting, that I was able to do art and also direct it. So I was working with a team of artists as well as creating it myself. So yeah, it was a great role because being able to do both is like a dream for an artist. So
Yeah, absolutely. And you worked on DDO for years. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
right? Because I interviewed you before I got hired as a player for the podcast,
Sure.
and then I worked with you for at least a couple of years
Yep.
afterwards.
I don't recall how many. It might have been 5 or 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you most remember working art-wise for DDO?
The thing sticks with me the most. There's so many. I mean, I don't even know if I could pinpoint one. That's a good question. I don't know. I love putting in the time of day. Like when DDO first launched, there was only daytime, and one of the things that was it was hard to do it, but it was well worth the investment, was making a full day cycle. So you had night and day, and so at night you would see twinkling stars, and during the day it'd be sunny. So it'd be a little more interesting, a little more fun to look at because of the differences in of the night and day. And I don't know. I mean, the things I love the most, actually, one of my favorite things that I ever had worked on in that game was when the expansion pack was the Dretch.
Oh, right.
Well, it was really fun working with the animation, and basically, working with the animators and making the Dretch as funny and lovable as you can make an evil being, and also the art. It was a lot of fun, kind of reinventing the Dretch, and once he was in the game, I couldn't stop laughing. It was a lot of fun to see him and to fight him and whatnot. So one of my favorite things. The Owlbear's another one.
Oh, right. The Owlbear is a real good call. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
geez, there's so many. I mean, honestly, there has to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of monsters that we introduced during the time I was there. So all of them, have a special place in my heart, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I don't know. You have anything you want to plug right now?
Nah, I'm not a plug kind of guy.
Okay.
I just say that thanks for continuing to play the game. It's a great game. I miss working on it. There's so many good people on this project, and I don't know. I mean, one of my favorite. I have to say, one of the favorite games I've ever worked on. And I've worked on many, so
Great.
I really enjoyed my time working on that game.
Awesome, Jeff. Thanks.
All
Appreciate you stopping by for a few minutes.
Happy birthday, DDO.
All right. I have threatened to do this last time, but this time I'm actually going to take a break. I just wanted to, I was going to take a break, and then I was like, I can't do that. I've got to get this audio thing. It looks like basically I'm just kind of having to go back and forth on all this stuff. I'm trying to remember, I don't know if you guys have seen all the concept art or not. So instead, I think you've seen a lot of it, but I guess it doesn't hurt to redo this stuff, in case you haven't. Going to call up some screenshots, get some audio going, and take just a couple minute break here while I stretch, do a few things like that. So I will be back with you guys in just a bit. Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm back. And I've got a ghost. Hey folks, how's it going? We're back here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live. I'm DDO's Community Manager Cordovan, here to take you through the evening, celebrating DDO's 10th anniversary, and with me is Christopher with customer service. How you doing?
Good.
Now you do a lot of account related work, in-game related work.
Support manager.
Oh, account support manager.
Yeah.
Now I know you've done in-game too, right?
A little bit. Dust does a little bit more of that, whereas I've pretty much been the manager over there for the last 3 or 4 years for account support.
Cool. So what does that mean?
It means a lot of running around, trying to figure out why things are working. Mostly just, we have a really great team over there that's, helping all the players out and just trying to keep on top of things and make sure that, if something major is going on, that we're letting people know.
So you deal with everything from like refunds to kind of best policy, things like that?
Yeah, I made up a lot of the policies that we had, and kind of gone through the process of making sure that we're always iterating those, making sure that they work for the players, that they work for Turbine, just kind of making sure that everything is kind of there for somebody to find. Yeah.
You have got a vomiting. What's going on in your T-shirt?
So customer service has 2 different teams, Team Shark and Team Bear. Veronica plus Dust is the bear, and we are the shark. And for National Customer Service Week last year, the art team actually made these designs up for us. So each customer service agent gets one of these. So
the shark's weapon ability is rainbows?
Rainbow vomit, I believe, yes.
Oh, rainbow vomit.
And there's some sparkles in there.
And the bear's is a bear unicorn who
Yes.
shoots electricity.
Yeah.
And he has claws too. I think the bear's gonna win.
See, I disagree with that. I think
Yeah?
the shark has the edge here.
But why? I mean, he's got the teeth. I'll give you credit to that. But he doesn't shoot electricity from his horn.
No, but that vomit is not. I also feel awkward calling it vomit. You know what? He's playing coy right now. He's letting the bear think he's got him where he wants him. He doesn't. It's all the shark.
All right. So the rainbow does like what kind of damage in D&D terms?
I think it's rainbow damage.
Oh,
Actually.
rainbow damage. Oh, of course it's rainbow damage. 1d8 rainbow damage.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and saying hello to the DDO community here.
Absolutely. Happy anniversary.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right. I'm hoping I sound okay. Okie dokie. Let me switch over my microphone settings again. Okie doke. I'm gonna kill the music. Oops. Oh no. There we go. I wanted to show you a few other things and play a few more files. So recently, we did an interview with Cindy Robinson where she talked a little bit about working as a kobold, doing voice work for DDO and that sort of thing. So I want to play that for you now.
I've always enjoyed Dungeons and Dragons. I've always enjoyed doing it, and one thing that nobody else knows, and probably you guys don't know either, is that the booth that I record this particular project in has no air conditioning. So one of the other things that I remember the most about Dungeons and Dragons is sweat. It's hot. and so there you go. Little known facts. Oh, well, let's see. What was my favorite character? Well, the kobolds. I mean, obviously, when else do you get to, lisp and scream at the same time? It was great. Plus, all the one-liners that come out. I mean, what was... No, there was that one about I have 2 barrels on my back, so I'm a double-barreled kobold. You don't get to do stuff like that all the time. Hi, everybody. It's Cindy Robinson. Welcome to the 10th anniversary DDO special. You're listening to it right now. Thanks so much for tuning in today and for all of these years of gameplay. We wouldn't be here without you. Thanks.
He's a kobold here. It's a 10th anniversary! I don't have anything. Somebody cue me. There was this really great time when the players came in and they killed me. And then, do you know what happened? Do you know? They killed me again. You know why? 'Cause I remember. A kobold never forgets. Kobold love you. Kobold remember 10th anniversary because a kobold remember everything. He remember... Wait, what was that again?
Hi, everybody. This is Cindy Robinson, and I just want to wish everybody at Dungeons & Dragons Online a happy 10th anniversary. Thanks, guys. You rock.
All right, thank you very much, Cindy. And yeah, people have pointed out the IMDb page for her, which it's got some pretty cool looking stuff on it for sure. She has done a huge amount of cartoon, voice work, anime work, things like that. I mean, she is a legend, frankly, at what she does. I want to see if I can find a few specific screenshots that I wanted to show you guys to talk a little bit about, if I could, while... Yeah. Let's see. Stormwalk up. Tried to see... I never did find that Forsaken Lands thing. I've been looking for it. No luck. Oh, here we go. Here's something I could show you. This was our official slime issue. That we had a major problem with slimes that just wouldn't stop.
I was in that mission control.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay. Well, we could talk about that here then in just a quick second. All right. I'm going to switch on over. You are now live. And I'm here with Talera. How you doing?
How you doing, everybody? Happy birthday, DDO.
Sweet. So, what was that mission control like when you realized that slimes were just basically spawning out of control?
So the funny thing was that was my very first mission control at Turbine, because that release was my first release when I joined the company. And so I was new in the community team, and they brought me in. They're like, "Here, you can monitor the mission control because you're on the community team now." I'm like, "Okay," because I had been, shadowing people to learn the role at that point. So I go into the mission control. We start to bring the worlds up, and we're watching things for a little bit. Everything seemed fine, and then all of a sudden, boom! Everything comes down, and we're like, "What was that?" We're like, "That's strange. Okay, let's try to set it back up again." And then, boom! Goes down again. We're like, "What on earth is going on?" So we have to start going through the logs, right? Because we collect logs on a lot of these things, so we can sort of narrow down what particular actions were happening.
Could you get a little closer to the mic, maybe? Yeah.
So we finally get through the logs. And while we're combing that, in the meantime, the QA people were in trying to test stuff too. And so they finally figured out in the log what was happening, and it was related to these slimes. So they go in to try to repro it, and you would go in, and the QA people send us a shot that's like that one. And they're like, slime is everywhere. We're like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Come and look at it." You would basically be surfing on top of the slimes right before the world came crashing down because there were just so many. And they're like, "How did that happen?" And we looked, and it's like, oh, because slimes, when you split them, they go from big to medium, medium to small, small to tiny. Somebody flipped something so it was going big to medium, big to medium, big to medium, over and over and over again. And so what had happened was a player was just farming favor, cast a blade barrier on top of a slime because they didn't want to deal with them, and then just boom, slime explosion.
Nice. Oh, other than the slime bug, what other classic moments of chaos can you remember?
Classic moments of chaos. Well, there was the time that when we went to launch Free to Play in 2009, we had just done a big show at the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle. And I had apparently given the whole team swine flu. And so during launch week, as we're all trying to get Free to Play out the door, which was a huge change for DDO, right? And I was so sick, I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't check my mail. It's the most sick I've ever been. And then one by one, more and more team members start succumbing to the swine flu. They're like, "Oh my God, I just checked with my doctor, I've got swine flu." So we're trying to do this mission control with like half the people missing because they're all sick. And then some of the people who were trying to substitute to help out, they're like, hey, I've been following the emails, but I don't work on DDO directly. So like that was a real team effort. We pulled in people from multiple projects to come make sure that DDO could go free to play that week.
Right. Did you just think about maybe delaying it for a week?
Oh no, at that point the swine flu thing was so close that like all the moving pieces were already in motion at that point. All the promotions that were going out, all the advertising, any of the sort of collaborative events we had with third-party vendors, everybody was ready to light up Monday, and Monday is pretty much when everybody came down with it. And it was like, oh.
Blue Queen from Minion Monday says, much approval of your hair color. Your hair
Thank
color,
you.
as a lot of people have noticed that over the years.
Yeah, it's
just a thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the story behind it? Or is there no story?
Well, when I first moved out here for Turbine, 2007, I used to have my natural hair color, which is just very dark. And I would go to the stylist, and she's like, oh, do you want to try some highlights? And I'm like, sure. She's like, what color? I was like, I don't know, red? So we put in some red highlights. And I would go and get the highlights done for a while. And one time I switched stylist, and I told her I wanted red highlights, and she did my whole head like fire engine red. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And then as the red faded, I was like, you know what, maybe I want to try some different colors. So I just kept going down the rabbit hole of colors. At this point, I actually found a photo of all the different times I've changed my hair color over the years working on DDO. I've literally hit every color in the rainbow except pink and...
Well, Noah's got you covered on
yeah,
the pink.
Noah's got pink covered. Yeah. I've done red, blue, white, silver, blonde, orange, gray, just all of them.
Story of the Mimic.
The story of the Mimic.
Yeah.
So the Mimic, if you can believe this Mimic has been with DDO for about, it'll be 10 years in the summer. I was hosting a party for DDO players at Gen Con before I came out to New England, and I was having a raffle, and I needed a way to have all the names collected. And I had gotten this treasure chest as like one of those like Harry and David's gift boxes. So the Mimic, at first it was just a collection thing for, prizes. And then when I got out here, I was like, you know what? This kind of reminds me of a chest in DDO. That's kind of cool. So I brought it to my desk. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? It's kind of like a Mimic if you like flap the lid. And then pretty soon it just became the Mimic. So we even put like fake teeth in it, and we'd bring it on the live stream sometimes. And he's just, ever since then, it's been the Mimic. But yeah, he's been with the DDO community for like years and years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the
Now,
Mimic.
you started as a player on Atlantis, doing a lot of role-playing in particular.
Yep.
I remember that was sort of your thing, as
Yep.
people did a lot of role-playing, and ended up working, doing some stuff with DDO Cast, and then pretty quickly ended up getting hired at Turbo. And it was really, if I recall, not really so much related to your DDO Cast work, although I'm sure they didn't hurt, but it was really related to your in-game event work.
Partially. It was, so at the time I had been running a lot of community building activities. The idea was to see, hey, when you don't have your party full, what else can you do when you're playing DDO? So we would just sort of use the game as our playground and go, hey, what if we have a fashion show? Or hey, what if we have a PvP contest? Or what if we have this role play hide and seek or whatever? And many other players were doing the same thing. So we started to network together to be like, hey, let's all of us sort of like try to promote each other's events and get like a lot of participation. And then on top of that, as part of that, getting to know the wider communities across the other servers, because remember, this was back before server transfers were available.
Right.
So as we all started to sort of talk about the way things were on each other's servers, I noticed, I was like, really? Is that how that is on Argo? Really? I didn't know that. So we had these interesting conversations, and just for funsies, basically, I wanted to research if the fact that we couldn't server transfer actually had created subcultures in each of the servers. So I spent about a month going from server to server, because at this point people knew who I was, because I was like, oh, it's the event person. And I would just start documenting. I took like thousands of data points, basically. I'd look at what kind of names did each of the servers use, what kind of guild names did they use, who liked to dance. If I turned on Whack Dance, like, did one server have more people that would just randomly come up and dance with me or not? What kind of chat were they having in their general chats? Which servers had organized events, which servers didn't? I mean, because we had a lot of servers. So I compiled all this data, and then I aggregated it. And so I did this big analysis project, and then just pro bono, I just put it on the forums. And, you know, I tried to equate it to this concept of, you know, it's like fish tanks, and each tank has its own ecosystem of fish, and they are certain percentages of this type of player. So around that time, the community managers at Turbine saw the report, because they'd seen videos and other stuff that we were all posting.
Yeah.
They saw the report, and they're like, that's what we need. We need someone who's willing to come in and help us do the analysis, help us cull through feedback, like focus on what makes players tick. Like, that's what we want, because a lot of their guys were focused on, like, you know, picture generation or making avatars or doing forum moderation, but they didn't really have somebody who fit that niche of how do we best collect feedback from the community and send it to the developers in a way that's actionable. So I started laying the roots of that for them, and that helped a lot.
I remember you did the Stormreach Olympics.
Yep.
And one of the coolest bits you did was one of the pieces was in House Kundark. And there was the big gap at the time, which is still there, except now you can't go on.
Yeah, yeah.
But back in the day, that chasm in House Kundark, if you jumped in, you would die.
Yeah, you would die. There was a death volume in it. If
Yeah.
your body went down to a certain depth, you would pass through the death volume and it would kill you.
And there was no abundant step.
Nope.
You know, this is all pre-monk and all that sort of thing. And the challenge for the Olympics bit was you need to get across the chasm.
Yep. So people were doing feather falls, some people were getting a running start, some people had figured out what they could climb on to give themselves the best angle to try to make it, and some people you would see them get like 3/4 of the way across and you'd think they'd get it, and then pew, and you're like, oh.
Now the trick is, and I think that this really points to your deviousness that you've seen throughout the years, is the answer is use the bridge.
Yes.
But you never showed them that. And
Right.
how did you trick them into doing that?
Because the trick was, you had the bridge, and then you had this open area. When I began the event, I stood in front of the open area, so everyone just instantly assumed that behind me was where the starting line was, but I never told them that they had to start right there. I just said, get to the other side. Yeah. And eventually, after a few people are dying and dying, because this was back when you had XP debt, too, by the way. You died in the public space, you lost XP. So people are like XP debting themselves. And eventually somebody's like, wait a minute, I'm just going to walk across the bridge. I was like, you win.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, what?
Yeah, I remember covering that, I think, for DDO Cast at the time. That was a lot of fun.
I can be very devious sometimes. It's all in good fun, but...
So has that helped you as an ecom manager? Or,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Let's
So
see.
here's the big question. Why did we get rid of that? We should still have that death volume in House Kundark.
So my jumping event brought that to the attention of the developers very succinctly. The thing that had caused them to put it up was when we went free to play, because it was a couple of years before it finally went up.
Yeah.
And preparation for free to play was a long time in building. We had to analyze how we were going to break out the content and all the different stuff. So part of that was people went in each of the zones and sort of did an audit of what quests were in each area. They realized that they were like, wait a minute, this bridge, I remember there was a jumping event here. And what they were afraid of was DDO was going to go free to play. We were going to have a whole bunch of new people who had never played before. People wandering around focused on their map, trying to find where to go. And if you were looking at your map, it was really easy to auto walk yourself off the edge and die.
Oh, sure.
And we didn't
Yeah.
want people to get upset and then rage quit over it.
Yeah.
So we started putting in more. It's the same reason they put handrails on big giant mountains that are clearly dangerous.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, all right.
I have so many
How
devious
much-
stories.
Right, let's hear another.
Devious stories. So this was one from Community. We love to play with the community. Terrence and I would make different puzzles that people had to solve, and sometimes we would just play to kind of mix it up and bring some excitement. My favorite was the time that one of the web developers figured out a code for me that I could take a word and force replace it with another word. Even if a person edited the post, it would constantly run this query. We had a community member, I don't know if I'll say their name so as not to bring undue attention to them, but we had a community manager who was obsessed with the fact that Nat Gann was gone. So remember how we replaced Nat Gann with Tag Hardcastle, the new acrobat in the marketplace. But he would always come into every thread and go, where's Nat Gann? And something, he was just being silly, right? But he would bring it into any discussion we had. It was, where's Nat Gann? Where's Nat Gann? So one day I told the web developer, I was like, hey, give me that code. I switched Nat Gann with Tag Hardcastle. And so the guy starts doing his normal thing, and then it's auto-replacing, and he's like, hey, I just tried to write Tag Hardcastle, but it says Tag Hardcastle. And so then people are like, hey, what's wrong with you? And he's like, it says tag Hardcastle. Every time I post, it says tag Hardcastle. They're like, yeah, so? He's like, no, you don't understand. I'm trying to say tag Hardcastle, but it keeps saying tag Hardcastle. And he got to the point where he was so manic because everybody else, we only applied it to him. So other people came in because he finally found a way to spell out Nat Gan. And other people were like, oh, let me try it. And they posted and they were fine. And you just have this post of him screaming, tag Hardcastle!
How much credit can you take for the broccoli?
For the broccoli?
Yeah.
The broccoli actually belongs. I don't know if he got to stop by on the stream. We have an art director gentleman who came up with the ad unit.
Was that Jeff?
Not Jeff. This
Okay.
was Rick Wolford.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
he hasn't stopped by
Yeah.
yet.
So Rick and the other marketing artists, they were trying to think of an ad unit that we could use that would show you that DDO was not just a 2D, because at the time people didn't really know free-to-play, and their only impressions of free-to-play were these sort of 2D scrolling, just not the kind of game that DDO is, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, I know, we'll make an ad unit that specifically calls that out. So they made this ad unit, and it was like, in Dungeons & Dragons, in some games you get to fight broccoli. I'm nutritious. So they bring out this little broccoli that jumps out. And at some point, the players were taking screenshots of broccoli because they thought the ad was hilarious. And so then broccoli started becoming this running joke. This artist saw that in the forums. And so then he took all of the assets that he had on the different layers and released them to players and said, here you go, make whatever you want. So then, the broccoli memes were amazing. It was so awesome. But yeah, Jerry's found the original ad unit.
Yeah, actually, why don't we we can talk while we're doing this.
Sure.
But I'm going to play that right now for folks, just so that they have some sense of what it is that's going on here. Let's see.
Yeah, and we had a whole series of these too. The idea was, the first one was broccoli versus beholder. The next one was driving versus dragons. And the idea was, these types of games, it's like if you want a full game that's free to play, DDO is the game for you. Like, it's not just this very simple, flat, basic experience fighting really weird, simple monsters. Like, no, we're going to show you really cool monsters, really in-depth dungeons, and it's free.
All right, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this or not. That's the only question mark here. You may
It doesn't
to
have a
go
lot of sound.
to the page.
It's mostly visual because it was for a web ad unit.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was just, this was combat for people back then. And we're like, you know what? Come play our game. You're actually going to see really cool 3D monsters. You're going to fight them in 3D. It'll be awesome. And it's free.
Yeah, yeah.
So then that blew up into the broccoli parody that we did. That's Tarrant on the left. On the right is Mr. Jim Drury, the man behind the broccoli.
And he actually dressed up as a broccoli.
Yes, he dressed up for Halloween as a broccoli, and then when he did that, he got my Tarrant to dress up with him, and that was their Halloween outfit. And I was like, guys, we've got to do a reenactment. We've got to. So we threw that together like in an afternoon, basically. And then we have so many outtakes from it, too, of just like the eyeballs falling off, or like them having the wrong timing.
And I'm going to let you guys go to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons, one long word, no ampersand, if you want to check out those outtakes there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've been around as long as bacon's been a thing in DDO.
More or less, yeah.
Do you know where it comes from? Why bacon?
Most people
I mean,
just,
of course, why not, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
bacon has, it's a very popular, pop culture thing, right? There's many different places that deify bacon. For us, some of the earliest bacon incidents were we had a puzzle. The DDO community is, the great thing about working on a D&D game is that the players know how to solve puzzles. And I mean really deep, complex puzzles. Because DDO has some challenging stuff compared to other stuff. It's not always just about swinging your sword. Sometimes you have to solve a puzzle, right? So we would make these multi-layered puzzles where, layer one might be I make a forum post and you figure out that the first letter in the sentence spells something out, and then when you figure out what that spells, that tells you to go somewhere, and then when you go somewhere. So one of the steps in this, I think it was 7 or 8 layers deep puzzle was you would get these images of bacon. And these pieces of bacon were just laying in different patterns. And if you looked at the name of the image file, it told you what order to put the pictures of bacon in. And then if you lined up all the pictures, it would spell out the next clue. So it was me and Tarrant in the back of the turbine offices with these pieces of raw bacon, laying them on a table, trying to get photos of them for this puzzle. The other employees are walking by, they're like, what the hell are you guys doing? So we spell out these letters, and it was very, you had to put the bacon in the right places so that it would spell it properly. And we finally players find these bacon pictures, and we hid them all over the forums. I think there might even be a couple that are still there today, where like the E in Aladrin's name or something, like if you click on it, it goes to a piece of bacon.
Oh yeah, I didn't change that stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to be the
So if
one
you
to
see
get rid
pieces
of
of bacon laying
Yeah.
around in the community forums, that's still from that incident. And that was like 2008, I think.
Yeah.
So that was sort of one of the things, and we all were laughing about the fact that, they found the bacon puzzle, right?
Yeah,
And then as that kind of chatter happened around the pit, people would overhear people talking about bacon. We also already had a big thing about tasty ham, and that had already been a running joke, and they're like, well, what about bacon? So then it became ham, bacon, and then it just kept growing and growing from there as different team members have worked on the project over the years.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to read this out because I thought it was an interesting thing. This one comes from Killstorm04. Hi all, I just wanted to say to DDO Stream that I started this game when I was 12.
Yeah.
I am now 22 and just wanted to say a big thank you to Turbine for the entertainment provided by your hard work. Been through it all from the epic loot, remember my first Sword of Shadow, to facing the ultimate lag foe. Dun dun dun. But thank you, and also thank you to the streamers who provide entertainment and that. So, 12 to 22, that's a pretty big jump. A lot
That is a
happens
big
when you're
jump.
12 years old, and then when you're 22 years
Yeah.
old. What do you think about, I mean, you two have been here for a decade, along with me and some other folks. You know, a lot of us, we play video games, we love video games. Like, I remember Mario Brothers, I remember, Pac-Man. And you have these memories. A decade-long memory is a long memory for a video game.
Yeah.
And it's something that really takes a special kind of game and a special kind of community to be able to really invest and become a part of like that. I mean, this isn't, I am the community manager and you are my minions. It's more, no, we're all friends here, right? This is one big group of
It's
folks.
more than friends, right? Like, the employees are essentially my family at this point. The players are my family. Probably I don't know if you want dark stories. I can tell you probably one of the most painful DDO stories. It's kind of on that level for me.
Sure.
So 2009, when I was the community manager leading up to free-to-play, we had an incident where before we could go free-to-play, there was a legal issue, and there was a big lawsuit, and it was a big lawsuit. And it was basically at a corporate level where companies are fighting it out, right? Because of that, we could say nothing about what was happening because of the ongoing litigation.
Right.
So that's a really tough position to be in as the community manager, because it meant several things. Number one is that no content was coming out because we were locked down and not allowed to release any more content at that point. Number two, it meant that we couldn't talk about the fact that we were even in a lawsuit. So there's no content and you can't say why. And number three, the players are still there. So they're like, well, where's my new quests?
Yeah.
Where's my new quests? I remember having a conversation with Tarrant where before the legal issues had cropped up, we were deliberating the fact that free-to-play was going to take us longer to bring out than we thought. It was going to take us an extra month, but players didn't know it was coming because it was a secret. So we were like, oh man, how are we going to keep players entertained for a month? That month turned into 9 months. And so as a community manager, it was the most painful thing for my whole career, was just watching the community sort of just decay, because time would pass, no updates, couldn't say anything, couldn't tell them why, couldn't say anything, and you would just see them sort of give up and just drift away. And so the community just kept getting smaller and smaller, and then they would get angry, right? Because I'm trying to bring them activities because we don't have new content, so I'm trying to do like, hey, can we do contests? Hey, can we? The Chronicle was actually born out of that era.
Yeah.
And then, trying to bring stuff. And so then people reach that critical tipping point of, I hate you. Why won't you tell us stuff? You're supposed to be our community manager. Why won't you tell us anything? And I would basically just go home and sob every night. Because, DDO was, these were my babies. Like, when you're the community manager, these are your babies. And your babies are in pain, and there's nothing you could do about it.
And sometimes they want to stab you.
Sometimes they want to stab you, but that's true of children too. So finally, one day, a player happened to work in a legal office, saw the litigation paperwork come across their desk, saw the words Dungeons and Dragons Online, and went, what's this? It was public record at that point.
Yeah.
Took a copy, put it on the community forum, and said, hey guys, look what I just found. And then all of a sudden, the players put those pieces together and went, oh, that's why they're not talking to us.
Yeah.
That's why the content's not there. Oh my God. Oh, we're so sorry. And then all of a sudden, like, everybody, we're like this again. It's like, yeah, fight the man.
We still wanted that new player experience.
We still wanted that new player experience, right?
Yeah,
So that was us
yeah,
working on
yeah.
that game for 9 months, essentially, while we
Yeah.
were trying to get through it and trying to keep the community from just tearing apart. And toughest part of my career.
Yeah. The nice thing is it has I believe most people would say is a very happy ending.
Yes.
We launched as free to play on
Yep.
September 9th, 2009.
Yeah, and it was just off the
exploded.
charts.
And in many ways, when you look at, we can't get into population numbers and all that, but when you look at what happened with 2009,
It was
it was tremendous.
Yeah, like
you know?
I remember
Yeah.
looking through a line graph when I was doing some analysis on when people had joined DDO, and I can
Yeah.
see each month that a group of players has joined, right? And you would see, like, here's the bar, and you could see, right, when free to play started, it goes like off the screen, just
Yeah.
boo, night and day.
Yeah.
Like, we're still bigger now than we were when we launched.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let's see. Back to the funny. Why did we never get chairs to sit in?
So I had a lengthy discussion with, I believe you guys saw Jeff already, right?
Yeah.
Jeff and a couple of the other artists when I first got here. And you start learning the priorities, right? And when you first come in the door, when you're fresh from the community as the roleplay person, you're like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and talk to these guys. Why can't I have my chairs, right? I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to see if I can get these chairs in. And that's sort of the moment that you start to realize what it actually is like to manage a community. Because suddenly you have lots of mouths to feed. Because you can't just care about the role players anymore. You've got to care about, well, what are the raiders like? What are the non-role players like that aren't raiders either? And you suddenly realize the full breadth of different types of players in the community. So with the chairs, I sat down with the artists and I was like, all right, give it to me straight. How tough is it to get these chairs in? Like, what would it take? They're like, well, here's your choice, Amanda. If you want chairs in the game, you have to be willing to sacrifice 2 dungeons from an update. And so I had to stop and go, do I really want to say to a player, you couldn't have more quests this update because I wanted chairs, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I just can't. I want the chairs so badly. We've even, over the years talked about could we do it quickly? Does somebody have extra hour? Like, just we've tried it, but every time it's always come down to chairs or this other piece of some other critical part of DDO, some bug fix, some new feature, some new class feature, some enhancement, a dungeon, a raid. Just the list goes on because there's so many parts to DDO.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't justify putting the chairs in for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And a PA system. We never got our PA system either.
You know why we didn't get the PA system? Because that's called the global broadcast button that we have as
that's
administrators.
right.
Once I got my global broadcast button, I was like, bah, ha, 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 I'm fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
it's a single line
Yeah.
command. I can say anything I want. It boop,
If people
flashes
have
on
been
the
to
server.
Lamania know I'm prone to abuse that pretty
Yes,
strongly.
that is
so,
the
yeah.
global PA
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Yeah, I used that many times over the years.
I don't know.
And I've got time to kill, so we're in no rush.
Let's see here. What else? We could talk about Gen Con stories,
Oh,
things like that. Gen Con it's interesting that DDO has only officially been on the floor of Gen Con once on a booth, and then once with Wizards of the Coast.
Yep, once with Wizards.
I think that's it, right?
I think a third time we did possibly some bag stuffing. Like, even though we weren't physically there, we had formally put in merch.
But nonetheless, DDO and Gen Con have got this history together, which largely has to do with community.
Yeah.
Community folks, the community team, a lot of people, frankly, at Turbine go to Gen Con anyway. So it made sense, regardless of whether or not we had, say, floor space and that sort of thing, to have a community, what has been adopted by CBD or CDBD the third, and that is Gathering for Buffs.
Yeah, Gathering for Buffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gen Con remains one of the most fun things.
Yeah, it was always my vacation, right? And that's part of the reason we always would end up there is like, well, I'm going anyway. I'm going to bring some marketing stuff. I'm going to grab a couple of the people who want to come with me, and we're going to do this. It's always been one of my favorite vacations. I only miss it every couple of years, usually due to wedding anniversary stuff or things like that. But I always try to make it a point to go, and I always try to make it a point to do the player party because, that's kind of how we all started at Gen Con, right? It was player party gatherings.
I'm going to bring this thing out.
Oh, man.
I don't know how much the community has ever actually seen this thing.
Oh,
What
yeah.
in the world is going on? Now, I'm going to scare you
Adorn
right
it.
now.
You have
I am
to adorn
going to
it.
adorn this and then frighten
Oh, don't do
everybody.
it.
Yeah.
Fun.
Now, what is the history
Oh,
of this
God.
fine piece of
This-
clothing?
This is so much of a big story. So during I can't even look at you. So one of the penny. So yeah, here, there you go.
We do all interviews with this one.
Yeah. So at Penny Arcade Expo, which is one of the other big trade shows that, oh my god, I can't even look. Jesus Christ. So at Penny Arcade Expo, as I put my blinders on, so
I feel like
won't laugh.
Zoidberg.
Yeah, why not DDO? At Penny Arcade Expo is one of our big trade shows that we always would go to, especially in PAX East here in our backyard in Boston. We wanted to give out a piece of swag to people who were going to be attending the party. A lot of parties will give out like, you know, a hoodie or something like that. But one year we wanted to do a creative gift for people because Lord of the Rings Online was doing a joint party with us, and they had gotten cloaks, right?
Yeah.
And they had cloaks with like a cool symbol on the back. You know, it's a little bit role play, but it was unique, right? So we were like, oh, well, maybe we should get something unique for the players, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to the marketing guys. I'm like, hey, see if you can find something unique. And they're like, well, like what? I'm like, well, I don't know. You see at the trade shows, people wear like, you know, the Plants vs. Zombies cones, or they wear like all kinds of stuff. I'm like, maybe if we get like a hat or something cool, right? And so they decided, they're like, I know, we'll get Mind Flayer ski masks, because it was a little cold, it was March still,
Yeah.
right? We're like, we'll get Mind
It's
Flayer
Boston,
ski
it's
masks.
like,
It's Boston.
you know, it's cold. Yeah.
So like, we'll get Mind Flayer ski masks. And so the person he found that was doing the ski masks was somebody who made these things by hand. And so he put in this order for like a ton of them, right? We got the order in, and then this was a while ago, so the, you know, different people, but back then the supreme head of the studio at the time saw them and said, I do not want DDO players to be wearing those around a party. Like, I can't have masked vigilantes going to the party to where we can't identify who is there. I was like, okay, fair point.
I remember, so Tarrant got one of them in for the first thing, and I went over to his desk for some unrelated reason, and he was like, Jerry, what do you think of this? And he put it on, and I was like, that's the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And then he wanted to get it in purple. Like, he wanted to do it purple originally to, like, be like a Mind Flayer, and instead it came in green, which is more Cthulhu.
Yeah, right.
And so it became this whole ordeal, and so then we, like, had to, like, okay, forget it, going back to hoodies. And so then we had all, like, you know, however many of these things we ordered, like, just hanging out here, because we kept trying to think of an occasion to, like, give them out.
Yep.
And we could never find a good one.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how they ended up being what they were.
Now, on the positive side here, I'm going to break a little news here. And
Secrets.
show folks this.
Yeah.
We have a dice bag. This is being made for Turbine employees, that sort of thing. As part of our 10th anniversary, a whole bunch of people got it. It includes a couple of really nice dice. Let's see if I can get those in front of the camera. A couple of nice D10s and a really, really nice D20.
Yeah, so 2 D10s for 10th anniversary, and then the D20, because you have to have a D20. You can't not have a D20.
And about 500 folks in the DDO community are going to be getting one.
That's correct. So we went through, we looked at the community, we looked at people who were sort of our top fans, right? People who've been with us from the beginning, consistently been VIPs, still playing actively today. Like, even like last week, they're still playing. So it's like, they got 10 years of playing with DDO. People, you know, that just supported and been a huge part. And so we've sent out the first big wave of them. I'm sure that there'll be stragglers, because not everyone put their addresses in correctly in the system. I tried to groom many. I literally was grooming all 500 by hand myself over the last week. But essentially, you know, we wanted to thank our top fans for sticking with us for 10 years. It's, you know, we put in a little note. You know what, I'm not even going to spoil the note. For the players who get the gift, there's a little note inside waiting for you. It pretty much says everything that we would want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. We, as much as we would have loved to make 20,000, there was a certain budget involved,
yeah.
so that's why we ended up with 500. Sorry if you're number 507, you know, but did the best we could on it. And we were doing a bunch of mailing yesterday on that.
Big mailing party, a big assembly line.
Yeah.
It was fun though. It was cool because we were it's. I just got a reminder off camera to be like, you didn't have to just be a VIP to be part of the 500. We were looking for people who've just been with us thick and thin from the very beginning. So you didn't have to specifically be VIP, but coincidentally, there's a heavy overlap between people who are VIPs and people who've stuck with us for so long. Because those are the people that really care about the game. They're very passionate about it. They love to support it. But again, just because you're not VIP doesn't mean that you might not get one.
Yep.
So I got a little derailed there, but we were talking about the...
just mailing out the dice, all that sort of thing.
We basically gathered everybody together to start stuffing envelopes, putting labels on, putting stamps on, etc. And it was cool because we all came together, and we had a nice big long assembly line in our big, what we call our chill space, the area where people can sort of social and collaborate.
Not just because it's cold.
Not just because it's cold. It's a relaxation spot, right? If you need to get away from your desk for a moment, you can go sit, whatever you need to do. So we have everything lined up, we're packaging things, and there's people from different eras of the product's life, right? We had some people who were people who only came on the project recently, some people who've been with it through, beginning to end, and some people who only worked on it a little bit, and maybe they had moved on to different things like Lotra or whatever, but they still wanted to come over, and they still wanted to be like, I want to put these in envelopes, I want to have a hand in making sure that our top fans are getting these gifts. And then we would sort of walk down memory lane and talk about different stories, and some of the newcomers, we would be telling them, back in my day in DDO, people died in the canyon in Kintera.
People died in the tutorial.
People died in the tutorial, they drowned to death.
How you could do it, right?
That was the number one thing when we did the data on early DDO, the old school tutorial. Number one place of death was drowning. Because people would walk off that boat after the tutorial, fall in the water, because we taught you to swim with an air bubble on your head.
Yeah.
So you never experienced what it was like to actually be in water. So people would get off the tutorial, be on the boat. The boat had a little rickety bridge that you had to cross because it was, Eberron and pirate themed. Many players went to step across the rickety bridge, fell off the edge, landed in the water, didn't understand that they were in the water. The drowning bar appeared. They had never seen the drowning bar before, and then boom, dead. Number one cause of death, drowning.
Yep. It's funny. We just recently we were doing, as we do sometimes, we pull data on how many people have died, who's running what, and all that sort of thing. And we had someone die in the current tutorial, and this was because, if I recall correctly, if you had really low health or something like that, you could take off a con item, probably.
Yeah, it had to do with the equipment switching.
And I remember seeing that and going, "Aw, that brings back memories." Sorry to be if you were that person, but
That's what's tricky about DDO. You have such a breadth of character customization, such a breadth of equipment that it is so hard to predict for every situation that a player can have. Even at the most early stages of the game, there's all these variables that can change the way the player experiences it.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Anything else you want to add?
Oh gosh, like I said, it's like you were saying, right? 10 years of memories. Like, how do you go through all of that, right?
The Marketplace 10.
Marketplace 10.
We haven't actually talked about that in the live stream here, which reminds me we need to find the video.
Yes.
What was do you remember what led up to doing that?
Yep. So one of the topics that came up among our designers and our dungeon builders, there's a lot of overlap between the dungeon builders and the people that build the public areas, right? It requires a lot of the same skills, like placement of objects, setting up NPC dialogue, all that kind of stuff. And at the time, they were discussing the fact that we wanted to do something kind of big and cool. We wanted to have a cool new event, but we also hated the way the old market tent looked. We hated the fact that it was this space that was very tiny, but when you stepped inside of it, it was super huge. It just felt awkward. It didn't feel magical. It just felt like somebody had messed up a measurement or something. So that was one problem. The second problem was inside the tent, we had these vendors, all your arcane ingredients and basic stuff. But the vendors were spread on all these different platforms, which is a real pain, right? So why make somebody run all the way up all these weird ramps, and then they would inevitably forget and get turned around. It was just a pain. So we're like, you know what? Why don't we just remodel this? And then in those discussions, this concept of, well, remodeling. What if we just burn it to the ground? We're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, what if we make an event where this thing gets attacked and it gets blown up, and then that lets us do whatever we want, and we can totally redo it. And so that sort of just evolved and ballooned into the eventual actual tent event, which was essentially, and this was really tricky too, over the course of weeks leading up to DDO's birthday back then. It's actually one of the reasons we don't do this anymore. We had this sort of gradually rolling out event where this new NPC showed up and said, hey guys, come to the marketplace, there's going to be a party. And that was just to get everybody physically in the place we wanted them to be. And once they got there, instead, there were these weird portals spawning, and there was like weird little symbols, and there was weird like sky things happening. And this was new for DDO. Normally the public spaces were very static, nothing really ever changed in them except like Christmas. Actually, this was pre-Rezia, so even that didn't happen.
Right.
So the public spaces were always the same. You never saw different things unless the world patched. But this was the first time that players would be in the world. We hadn't taken the worlds down, and all of a sudden you would see, hey, where did that rune on the ground come from? Hey, where are these devil portals coming from? Hey, why is there a big funnel cloud lighting up in the sky? And we started unrolling this story about, oh my gosh, the plane of Shavrath is getting active, and they're going to come, like, we think they're going to attack us. And so different pieces of this event started lighting up gradually. The trick was, because it was so gradual, and it was so story-driven, and it was the first time we did it, a lot of players got super frustrated by it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't realize what was happening. It was just all like, what the heck is going on? And eventually, by the end, they got it, right? They're like, okay, this is an event. Clearly something special is going to happen.
Got it. But yeah, I remember, there was a lot of lag even during that event.
Yeah.
Just because everybody wanted to see it. Even, if I recall, you guys set the instance cap particularly low, and we were seeing 40, 50 instances of the marketplace.
Yeah, well above that, yeah. And then, you're talking per server. Like, each server had, like, 40 plus.
Right.
Instances full of people, by the way. So yeah, it was packed, because we reached a point where, so the trouble with fun stories in DDO is that you want to show people what the cool thing is, but you also don't want to spoil the story. But we didn't want people to miss this tent exploding, because we'd spent so much effort on making this cool explodey thing. Like, when it hit the ground, it would send this rolling wave of fog throughout the whole zone. We even contemplated having a throwback effect, kind of like the Dragon Wing Buffet that would hit like everybody in the zone. The only reason we didn't do it was we were afraid of performance, that we would actually tank the server hitting everybody.
Right.
Because everybody was in the zone at the same time. So we'd spent so much on the visuals, like the thing would light on fire, pieces were flying everywhere. It's kind of like what you see in, if you've ever done the quest with Loth, and the temple is sort of falling apart all around you. That was happening to people in the public space live in real time, and they just had never seen that before, right? So we basically reached a point in the storytelling where we sort of broke the fourth wall, and we said, hey guys, you better be there tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, because something cool's gonna happen.
Do you remember where the video is on this, by any chance?
I do not. I know Glenn posted it at one point. I don't know if we ever posted it formally to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I ran
we
into
did
this
take
when I was
video
doing
of
stuff,
it.
but unfortunately I had to kill it. We have a...
We also do have, I know I personally took a video because I went in stealth mode, and I sort of like popped into a group of people so I could hear what people were saying, and it was fun to listen to people talk about it while it was happening, because the tent is there, so the tent's here, all the players, they're all trying to get up to it because there's a big barrier that they can't get past that's magical, and everybody's just been jumping and jumping and jumping trying to get in there because they want to see if they can get inside, right? Well, once the big, like, Independence Day style blast starts happening, players literally stopped, turned around, and tried to run away. Because they were like, oh god, I don't know what's happening. So they're like, ah, and everybody ran. I was like, this is amazing. You could just hear them in voice chat going, whoa guys, whoa, what's going on? I don't know. And they just, boom, just like ran away. And then it exploded, so then it explodes. Everybody goes rushing back in to be like, what happened, right? And there's this new quest. And they're like, where did this quest come from? I'm like, yep, you've discovered a new quest that wasn't there before. And that was when the subterrane started up. But it was, we had a video of it. It's one of the reasons that the Chronoscope got made was everybody talked about that tent for years. They still talk about the tent.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we put so much energy into that thing, and it was a one-time thing. If you weren't there, you didn't get to experience it. And we're like, man, is there any way that we can, like, bring that back for people somehow? And that's where the chronoscope came in. So we're like, okay, we're going to let people who want to see what it would have looked like go and see what it looked like to blow up the tent in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a different experience. It was just really cool to see that, you know, this part of the game that had normally been so static has just been transformed, like right before like all these players' eyes. It was great.
Yeah, sure was. All right, Talura, well, I really appreciate you joining me here on the
that's great.
live stream here.
We really appreciate all you guys, though. It's been a great 10 years, and like I said, you know, at this point, the players are my family. So I just thank you so much for being a part of DDO.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll let you guys have fun.
Yep.
Me and the Mimicker are
Yep.
going to go off and keep man in the fort.
Yeah, I had, and when I first did the setup before our issues this morning, I had that video ready to go and procced, but unfortunately I haven't been able to find it now. Are you up? Or are you up?
What? I should go at some point.
Are you? How much time do you have?
Next half hour.
Why don't you sit down here, and then we'll get you in, and then we'll take
go
over.
because I can stay later.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you sit down then? Yeah. All right. We are going to go straight back to an interview here. Maybe I'll see if I can find, while I'm talking to you, I'll see if I can find that video. I'm trying to find our anniversary tent.
I was just watching it on YouTube.
Oh, we have it on YouTube?
Yeah, well, somebody's got it on YouTube. I don't know whether it's us or not. But if you search DDO Marketplace Event on YouTube, up it comes.
Okay. All right, cool. Because I remember when I was going through our folder, I couldn't remember if it was in the marketing or DDO folder or whatever. I ran into it, and now I can't find it again, of course.
All the information in the world at your fingertips.
Yeah, all the information you can't find in
Yep.
the world. Anyway, who is with me? This is Knockback. Thanks
Hi,
very
guys.
much. You are, I think, our longest-standing, consistent developer on DDO.
Yes, I'm the longest continuously running dev on DDO.
And that's because you've been here since when?
I've been here since 2008, and I came in at the very end of Mod 8.
What was that?
Prisoners of Prophecy. Reaver's Reach.
Oh, Reaver's Reach?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
And sort of the first week I got here, like, I was fixing text in Reaver's Reach.
Okay, cool. And since then, you have been lately a content lead, and even back in 2008, you've done a lot of the dungeons. I mean, the number of dungeons you've had a hand in this game, do you even have a number?
I started counting this morning, and I had to give up because I had to do it. I had other things to do. But, you know, I've worked on, as of now, 31 updates, and I've touched a dungeon in at least 30 of those. So I've been involved in at least 30 dungeons and probably more. So I've done things like The Snitch and Study in Sable in terms of dungeons. I've done public areas like House Cannith and Evening Star. Lately, I've done things like Multitude of Menace and Epic Shroud and the Anniversary Dungeon.
Nice, nice. All right, I'm going to quick cycle through my audio. So when you say you've worked on 30-some dungeons, a lot of it was a team-based effort, but not always.
Not always. Some dungeons, you know, I did start to finish, like Power Up or Army of Shadow. Other dungeons, like Study in Sable or Come Out and Slay, I would do the sort of story monster placement-y part, and somebody else would do the actual level building, like Keeper, for example.
You know, it's interesting. We've heard a lot this year because of various things going on in the pen and paper version of Ravenloft. In some ways, you did that in Study in Sable. That was kind of part of the idea, right?
It was it wasn't quite the idea because we didn't want to go to Wizards of the Coast and say we're doing Ravenloft. That was not on our agenda. Our agenda was actually to do a dungeon out of another Hasbro property, inspired by another Hasbro property, namely Clue.
Right.
We always talked about how we wanted to do a dungeon based on Clue, and that turned into a discussion of the party game Mafia, or Werewolf, and that turned into a murder mystery dungeon set in a mansion. And when we're like, who would you find in a murder mystery set in a mansion? You would find a vampire. So the similarities to Ravenloft kind of crept in over time. But once we figured out that's what was going on, we tried to make our guy different. So unlike Strahd, who is pining for his lost love, our vampire dumped the woman at the start of the quest, and she's out for revenge.
Cool. So, you are our preeminent expert on world builder at this point for DDO.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Currently working on DDO, perhaps. Certainly not in the building.
So, can you assign... I don't know that there is an average dungeon, but if you were to kind of picture an average dungeon, how many work hours does it take to make one?
It takes us sort of 10 weeks to make a dungeon. Different dungeons take different amounts of time. Temple of Elemental Evil took a lot of time for many developers. But if you take one developer and say make a dungeon like we make nowadays, start to finish, it's 10 weeks.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a favorite child?
I have two.
Yep.
I love all my children, but I love some more than others. The two that stick out are Study and Sable, because we threw in all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that stands out is Come Out and Slay, which is the end of the Shard Syndicate line. And the reason that sticks out is we were going free to play, and at the moment we made Come Out and Slay, we didn't have an art budget. So we were trying to figure out ways to make dungeons that felt fresh and new and different without any new art.
Yeah.
And because DDO had climbing and jumping built in, I thought, well, we should make a dungeon that's about climbing and jumping over the roofs of Stormreach.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was talking to Keeper about that, and I said, okay, I want to have a dungeon where the second half of the dungeon is running around on roofs. And she's like, really? But she jumped on it, and that was really the first dungeon like that in DDO. If you're playing a dungeon in DDO and you're running around on a rooftop, I was probably involved in some way, shape, or form.
Including Inspired Quarter, maybe?
Yeah,
There's
well,
a lot of running in the
right.
roofs on there.
So after we did Come Out and Slay, Keeper really got into it and added a whole bunch of rooftop gameplay to the public areas, which we used to our advantage for the Easter Egg Festival in the marketplace.
Let's see. What did you do for? Did you do the missing?
Yes.
One of yours. Oops.
Yes, I also did the missing again with Keeper, which was our attempt to do a horror dungeon in DDO.
Right. Because the missing might be one of the ones that it's one of my personal favorite dungeons, and I know that you had a hand in the creation of that one.
Yeah, so for that, I sat down with Keeper and gave her an outline of what the level was supposed to be like. It's basically a giant U, and then there's a secret passage that links the two horns of the U together. And then she went off and worked her magic.
I remember this was, we don't really do them anymore, but we used to have kind of show and tell days on the development team where we'd all go into a room generally every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and it would just sort of be, here's what I've been working on. And I remember that at the time you were like, well, he's a beholder in disguise because he's wearing a hat. And nobody can tell he's a beholder because he has a hat on.
Yes. Yeah, that was... So, my two great discoveries for that were necessary to make that dungeon were that I could put hats on things, which Eladrin discovered with headcrab. Well, Eladrin told me about when we did headcrabs for the Inspired Quarter. So I figured out how to put hats on things, and then I figured out how to cut off heads. So the end boss in Missing is a Warforged with a beholder wearing a hat on it. Technically, the beholder is wearing the Warforged,
Right.
as his disguise.
Let's see. Most recently, like I said, you've formal title or just unofficial title in terms of like content lead?
Unofficial.
Yeah, okay.
Technically, I am staff,
Okay, all right.
which is better than senior. Go figure.
Right. But you've had a real lead role in a lot of the recent adventure packs.
Yep.
And that's got to
Yep.
be pretty exciting to take that knowledge that you've been building over the years and really get more and more ability to guide that sort of process.
Yeah, it was fun to do the last year with the storyline involving the Devils, both because it gave us a chance to revisit the Devils, who were so important to the Marketplace event, but also because we got to go back in the Devil's Gambit to some fun locations in Stormreach, like House Cannith, or find out where the gatekeepers are hanging out, for example, and also do some fun bosses in that pack.
The Rocking Dead is in chat. Which,
Hey,
by the
Rocking
way,
Dead.
Hey, Rocking Dead, nice to see you. We've been chatting a little bit in chat, but I just wanted to call you out actually on the show here, saying it's an honor to have you in our chat room here. Did you do Kratos?
I did Kratos, yes.
Yeah.
So, as I said, Eladrin taught me how to put hats on things. So what I did is I took an iron golem, and I made the iron golem invisible, and put many crate hats on him. So a crate for a head, a crate for a foot, a crate for an arm, and so on, to create Kratos. And then had the brainwave of saying if he was knocked down, it would just look like a bunch of crates lying there. So during one of the show and tells, I showed off Kratos, and that was definitely the biggest response any monster I made ever got in a show and tell.
I think it's just because, part of it is because he's called Kratos, which is just hilarious. And then part of it is that we've been, destroying boxes for years,
Right.
and it's not all that often that the boxes fight back.
That's right,
Yeah.
right. Although, they should. They've taken a lot of abuse.
They sure have. Why do we destroy all these boxes in DDO?
Clearly because they've wronged us in some way and need to die.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, they're mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. That's also true of the kobolds, as you'll find out in the anniversary dungeon.
That's true. So, I don't know. If you could, regardless, the thing is, you know all the tech, you know how it works, you kind of have a pretty good idea what we can and can't do within the limitations of the DDO World Builder tool. If that didn't exist, what would you make and what would it be?
Oh man. Yes. I was saying just the other day, don't ask me what I want, because usually the question is, what can you get done in the next 10 weeks?
Right.
That's how long we have. What in Dungeons and Dragons would I make if I could do anything? I would make Waterdeep.
Oh, yeah?
I would make a proper, really big city that was not broken up into zones. We kind of tried to do that with Wayloon, but Wayloon was so combat intensive that you never really got any breathing space. It was very much a fight sort of environment. What I'd like to do is an environment where, just as in a pen and paper D&D game, you can do some fighting in the slums and then go have a drink and then go talk to the nobles and hang out in the aristocratic area, all without having to leave the level, right?
Right.
And of course, you would run across the rooftops.
For sure. All right, well, thanks very much, Knockback. I appreciate you stopping by, wishing us a happy 10th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, guys.
All right, thank you. I am going to go grab something to keep my throat going so I don't die on ya. And I'm going to put together a bunch of screenshots here. And then put on some music and take a little break, say 5-10 minute break. So yes, I know I have a blank screen at the moment. I am currently calling up an image slideshow. It'll be just a second. Am I still coming to Atlantis? Yes, I actually was just thinking about that. So the main thing about going to the live servers here is that I've just been causing lag everywhere I go, and getting a lot of nasty grams until saying, "I just can't even move. Nice job, loser." And they're not wrong. I mean, I'm not a loser, man. I ain't a loser. But I am causing lag. So, in order to try to mitigate that, I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff throughout the weekend, not on a live stream here. That's going to be a little bit easier to deal with. So, just so you guys know. That's sort of the plan. Alright, I'm going to get some music going here, and then I'm going to duck out for about 5 minutes or so. Use the restroom, get some audio, or get some brain no work no more. Okay, I'm going to get a beverage, and I will see you guys in just a little bit. All right, welcome back. We'll be getting started here in just a second. Thank you very much for joining us here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live. Really appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to be going for at least a couple more hours here tonight, and then I'm going to be joined by the Damsels of DDO at 10 o'clock Eastern. Also with me right now, once I pot up his microphone, is executive producer Severlin. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Is there a reason I'm holding your broccoli?
Well, I was going to say the executive producer is the broccoli, but I guess, I think you've got that title for now, until the broccoli wins.
The broccoli has been gunning for the title for quite some time.
It's taken a decade, but we now have broccoli in the taverns.
Yeah, all of the executive producers before me warned me about the broccoli.
What did they warn you about?
That it was violently looking to try to coup,
Yeah.
and then basically take over DDO for its own and make all creatures into broccoli monsters.
Well, it moves back and forth throughout the day, So what do you know? We have looking for broccoli in games, so.
Yeah.
So tell me about the name Severlin. Where'd you come up with it?
Oh, it's my first D&D character.
Oh, it's your first D&D character.
Yeah.
So what was your first D&D character?
He's at the time it was 2nd edition, so there were no real. He was a fighter. There was no real barbarians or any of the cool classes that came after in those early days of 2nd edition. He was sort of a combination of Conan and Elric, and I read a lot of more of the pulp fantasy at the time. So he was barbarian-esque, even though barbarians didn't exist at the time.
Nice. And so when you had to pick a name, it just seemed like a good fit?
Yeah, but I always sort of go for a whole bunch of different names, in different syllables to try to find something cool.
Cordovan,
I like it. I don't know if
see,
other people do.
for me, like Cordovan, I couldn't be Mock Duck anymore because I wasn't, it wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to pick a different name. And so I remember my wife at the time just brought out a dictionary and started with a C and just started reading down names one at a time.
Wow,
And I was like, nope,
that's desperation.
Nope. And then went to Cordovan, and I was like, yeah, that works.
Back in the day, gamed with friends that just hated making up names, and when we played like Twilight 2000 or other modern day names, they would basically just randomly look in a phone book and start reading to try to find their names.
So it took me to get to CO, by the way. Just think about how many words are in a dictionary. That's how bad it was.
Where did she start?
C.
Oh, at the
Top
beginning
page.
of C?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
wow, that's picky.
Yeah, well, what can I say? It had to be the right one, right?
Well, we're all grateful that you're not Carrot.
Actually, darn
But you
it,
were
that's
picky.
what my name should have been.
Yeah.
All this time.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Update 30 coming on Monday.
We do.
And that's going to be the Gnome and the Anniversary Dungeon. We're looking ahead toward Update 31, which we talked a little bit about. And understand we're maybe going to tease a few more things. Is that right?
What do you want to know about it? Like I said, I'd like to do some stuff for monks. I would have loved to do a whole tree, but I won't have time because, like, the next thing is abbreviated. It's only 2 months away, so
Right.
so we'll work on some fighter stuff and we'll get some monk work in there. Probably, like I said, 5 to 10 enhancements. I know that there are people now working on a new monster for it.
Right. We could tease that maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Or should we just sort of say what it's going to be?
I don't know. We could.
Rhymes with
it's a
lumber bulk?
Oh wow! Now you've really ruined it. I was gonna at least do some riddles,
Okay.
but you went right for the throat, huh?
Yeah, it's something that like players have been wanting for a long time, and what's the story actually between getting this thing here?
Well, so we have all of it and the animations working right now. We're trying to do a cool confusion gaze. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. I would like a confusion where the thing lines up the confusion and then tries to do it, and you have a chance to like physically get out of the way before you do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the scripting will work for that. Our problem is there were some raids where we have reticle attacks, and they didn't quite line up when there's lag, and we're a little concerned that even if we get it working here, that it won't have the same experience for the players in real time, if that makes sense.
Right, absolutely.
But it looks really good.
Yeah.
Like, it has like a 3-clip sort of attack animation with the mouth, and then, it kind of moves almost gorilla-like. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then, we are going to have a new producer's letter, later on, like we were saying, about every quarter. And so we'll have one of those as well that people can talk. We'll talk more about what's going on other than that. So.
Otherwise, let's see what I'm excited about. Oh, you know what I'm excited about?
Huh.
New data center.
That's right. And we're, I've kind of mentioned that we're looking about the first half of March. My understanding is a tentative date on that. And again, this is tentative, right? So it could change. Probably will change. Could change. March 8th is about what we're looking for there.
Yeah. So if everything goes well, we'll do March 8th. And what'll happen is it has better hardware. It has better a better network pipeline. So presumably it will add even more. So we've done a lot of work trying to cut down on lag by really doing a deep down examination of the effect system and what was abusing it. So that worked, but I still think there are some instances in lag in various places, like the blades in the Shroud still, for some players, have some lag.
Yep.
So I think with new hardware that will help.
Yep.
And with new networking, that should help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I know that you've got a party to get to and all that sort of thing. I don't want to take too much of your time.
I had too much cake, and now I'm like on a sugar high because I don't eat sugar that often. So, they love doing that.
But it's an honor to be here with you guys. An honor to have hit 10 years on Dungeons and Dragons Online, and just one of those milestones that a lot of games, even a lot of MMOs, don't manage to hit. Now, of course, you've already been a part of one because of Asheron's Call. But,
yeah. But I think one of the things that I'd like to say about 10 years is, man, the Turbine fans are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, really talking to them on the forums and, having player councils and having a chance to meet them sometimes in person. They're just great. I really love our fans. It really makes my job a pleasure interacting with the players that play the game and seeing their passion and all of the stuff and how much they like the game.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much for stopping by. All right, I am getting ready to do a thing on Atlantis. And, let's start with some death. It works so well over on Sarlona, I have to bring it back. Yeah. We take care of a little restaurant here. See, I wish I had never stumbled across that, because now I'm going to want to do that every single place I go. Hello, it's Atlantis. How you folks doing here tonight? My stream coming through? There you go. Someone's saying, hey, why did we ignore all the input on gnomes? We didn't ignore input on gnomes. I appreciate that that forum thread probably should have had some information that it didn't have. So we didn't really respond to it. We were busy. But we didn't ignore the feedback on gnomes. List. Now that reset the computer. I need to find my list again. Here we go. I mean, I know that your mileage may vary. You may disagree. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Well, we're pretty excited by now. We think you will be too. Yeah, see, look at this lag. This is why I'm kind of planning to do it off the live stream. I appreciate you disagree, Gilgamel, on the gnome. I'd be curious to say what in particular you would have liked to see different on the gnome based on what you saw on the Mania. Put a few things in chat here, we can talk maybe a little bit about it. So. We think the gnome's going to be in a pretty good place, and you're going to dig it. Maybe not you in particular, but Slumberous Skulk. Nice. Oh, that's even better, Rocking Dead. Why shouldn't I should have done that one. Yeah, I can't even move. Yeah, this is why doing this on the live servers during a live stream where everyone can tell where you are. Probably not a good idea. Let's see, more illusion spells. Yes, if we had unlimited time, I'm sure that we would have done more illusion spells, but we were ultimately trying to decide, you know, get the gnome out. If we want to, we can do some different illusion spells. We did, however, you know full well that among the most popular illusion spells in the game are like Phantasmal Killer, that kind of thing. So we did want to make sure that we were able to take good advantage of that. So. I also want gnome racial weapons. So that was a deliberate choice. We wanted the enhancement line to not be the gnome racial weapons, but instead to be all light weapons, so that they would be finessable for build symmetry, or not symmetry, but complementary. Is that the right word? So that was ultimately why we went with that, as opposed to the gnome racial weapons in general. Ultimately, it came down to, what do we think people will actually want to use in game. Synergy. There you go. I agree, Oscar 581. Mirror image would have been a great ad, and if we had been able to do that, I think we would have. But ultimately, we, as with everything in development, you have to weigh cost and time and desire to get it out by a certain point and all that sort of thing. So. Can I please add, Omnideft says, that improved precise shot cancels attack rolls with all throwing axe weapons to the official known issues list? I'll look into it. I think you're right. I remember seeing forum threads on it. Probably one of your forum threads, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, I should be able to add that to the known issues list, sure. Because I'm now 10 hours into a live stream here, my brain come Monday morning might not remember it. Send me a PM on the forums to say, hey, Cordovan, you said you were going to add this to the known issues list on the live stream, and that way I'll remember to do it and then put it into the known issues list. All right, Omnideft? Thanks. Sure, you can get a shout out, Bob Scodrel? Bob Scodrel? Thanks. Yeah, I mean, thrown weapons have always been a little bit tricky. Man, I'm just not even moving on Atlantis here. Sorry, peeps. I know, it's fun. I want to do this too, but I think trying to do this live on the live stream just ain't working so good. So I'm probably better off just kind of taking care of that later on through the weekend. So let me head on back to here, because I know there are some things that I wanted to show you that I've not shown you yet. And so while I'm waiting for myself to load in, I can take care of that. I'm going to show some of the funnier stuff that I've got set aside here. Yeah, I pretty much froze up that instance. The first instance at the harbor is... I would not suggest it. I'm not saying I'm leaving, I can't do anything, right? If I can't move, you can't move. None of us can move. Not much point in doing stuff there, right? Staring at a loading screen for a while. Technical 13 asks, what is the status on the known issues list becoming, quote, something else? It's something I would like to do. I know that the community sometimes has different opinions on that. I'm thinking about turning it into a public notice board, perhaps as soon as Monday. But we'll see. There'll be room for bugs too, because people care about all this stuff. But I think I've already, no point rehashing a forum debate on it, right? You guys all know what's going on there. I talked about it on the forums quite a bit. So what we're looking at here is one of our April Fool's jokes. In case you don't remember, that was broccoli as a playable race. And now we're transitioning to, I couldn't believe this when I saw this, but this was an image that was made back in 2007 for Christmas. It was a Christmas wallpaper. I don't believe it got approved by the various people that needed to approve it. So there you go. But we're bringing it in here anyway. Isn't that an awesome image? This is another one of our holiday images. This one, I believe, is also from either 2006 or 2007, and is a really cool Christmas wallpaper that I didn't even know existed until I just ran into it here, putting this together. I brought the lag and then ran away. Yep, pretty much. Sorry, peeps. What's it trying to? Another one of our holiday wallpapers that didn't get, never really made it out into the public there. This one we did actually get approved, and you've seen before, but I wanted to include it just for posterity's sake, because this is a pretty amazing image that we have. Iron Defenders and all the rest. Just a quick note, I'm going to be streaming here all night, so like you don't need to vacuum and stuff around. Okay, thanks. This is from 2005, early 2006. This was a PC Gamer cover article. This was the cover of the magazine that month for Dungeons & Dragons Online. This was one of our sort of screenshot contest events that we had over the years for sort of caption it that we did. Here's an IQ Gamer. This one is also from 2005, 2006. There's a framed version of it on a wall actually over here called Beholders in Broadband, which is actually kind of funny when you think about it. Also the handheld head-to-head DS versus PSP. That just sort of shows you about what was going on at the time. But that was a pretty cool cover as well. Another one of the, because it takes ninjas to deal with pilots. Pirates. Poor Hound of Zoria children. I don't even want to know what's going on there, right? Here's another one of our bugs that happened with the fuses. And this one, I believe this was a player-created screenshot. This was back in the day before we had Dungeon Alert Unleashing, and someone got all the or a bunch of trolls for just this amazing couple of screenshots. This made it into the forums, and I saved it because I think it might be one of my favorite images of DDO of all time. I just really, really dig it. It's super fun, super awesome. Actually, there was a time where I wanted to try to get it framed, although I never actually got through the process of getting motivated enough to do it. Sucky broccoli. Yes, we did it. We're insane. It's true. Somebody had to do it. Had to be us. This was a math error. Look at the percentage sale off. 67.2300033569336%. I think we ultimately decided to round down. This was our toughness tree. For those who remember our toughness enhancement tree. It was a joke that ended up being actually showing up on the Maya, because of course it would. And it was basically, you know, as much toughness as you felt like giving yourself. It was kind of amazing. Yeah, I suppose it's really probably more of a display rounding error, but hey, why be technical? Alright, and that's what we got. show you guys that. Oh my gosh, I'm on the live worlds, causing your lag. I'm on Atlantis for a little while longer. So people have found me. That's good. Now see, for some reason, it looks, I mean, we're eventually going to have a problem at Evening Star as well, but it looks, interestingly, like Evening Star seems to be a little bit, quote, safer as a drop point. It seems to not have the same problems of the other sections. So, I guess this weekend I should probably spend more time in Evening Star doing drops here. You know, you may be right. Less people can get in there as quickly as in some of the other instances. That may well actually be the case in terms of the why. All I know is I'm able to spawn things and not lock up the server right now. So as long as I can, I'm going to go for it. Because I want to give you guys things. I'm not trying to not get you stuff, old Valanians. I'm just running into issues when I do it. To my view, how do I float? So here's the trick. I am actually using a fly command. It's basically an ability that allows me to fly with the same effect that you get for Reaver's Refuge. And predominantly it was created to help people get through quickly to sections like, say, we're doing a check-in on an admin of something in, say, Cold Chamber. Or it's also used for screenshots, things like that. Take that instance of Evening Star. Time to tweak the sound just a little bit. Alright, I will do so. Just every couple of minutes I'm just popping in and changing my audio settings there and back, which seems to be taking care of the problem, I think. I haven't actually been in for a while, but you guys are telling me it's looking better, so I'm going to assume that that's correct. Oh my god, it's Phantom says, so there's no lag, lol lol lol. Never claimed there wasn't. Let's see. Yes, 790. I will be hiding goodies in out-of-the-way places. If you were seeing any of our Wednesday or Friday streams where I was giving out the invisible stalkers, you'll know I went into various places, dropped them into bushes, on roofs, things like that. And that's what I'll be doing throughout the weekend, in addition to spawning some things and doing things like that. I'll probably try to go into some private groups and literally just give it to everyone in the party, that kind of thing. Weak sauce can't get to Evening Star. Sorry. Gilgamel says, let's talk sarcastically about DDO Store Mathers, lol, instead of a new race. Okay, we could talk about a new race. We have no immediate plans to do another one. We are just releasing Gnome on Monday after all. But, all the races are here. Did that work? Nope. No, I totally understand. If we could, I'm sure we would love to do, you know, Hey Sev has actually talked about love for Azamir, you know, things like that. It's just a matter of, you know, getting it all in, right? We're doing Gnome, and Gnome has been something that people have wanted for a long time. Tiefling would be another one we'd love to do, I'm sure. Heck, maybe even Dragonborn. Kobold race would be awesome. Flump. Yeah, you're right. Flump playable race. It's right. Hey, it's on the board, man. It's on the board. Flump playable race. Uh-huh. Alright. Well, this ain't working. So let me head back to find something I can show you, folks. Got another video I've been meaning to play, I'm pretty sure. So let me do that while I can. Alright, so this is, let's see. I already did the monk animation review. This was a video that was...
Mistress.
You know what this is.
The passage to Kaiba remains open to your advantage. The drow of the Underdark will not fail you. Woe to the intruders who dare enter the demon web. They will be slaughtered as a sacrifice to your greatness. Even that fool Elminster will not hinder the darkening that will consume Toril. Nothing will stand in your way.
Alright, let me play this one for you as well. This is the squirrel attack video that we were talking about just a little bit earlier. If I can get it to load. There we go. One of the funniest videos of all time. For DDO. Nice. Alright, I am going to play one more here for you, and this is... I'm curious if you guys can guess it. What do you think the most popular video of all time, the most popular DDO video of all time is? Any guesses? If I can load it up. Okay. On a boat.
Oh, hey, check it out. It's a guild invite for 3. It includes unlimited use of the guild's airship. Now let's see. Who should I take? Clankenbeard?
Yes!
And T941N.
Cool.
Oh yeah! Get your astral diamonds ready, cause it's going down! Everybody in that place hit that flipping deck! But stay on your toes, cause we are taking it to the sky!
We're running this, let's go!
A flying bull! A flying bull!
Everybody look at me, cause I'm sailing on a boat!
A flying bull! A flying bull!
Take a good hard look at my guild rockin' boat! I'm on a boat with my pally, take a look at me! Straight floating on a boat on the deep blue sea! Busting 5 knots, wind whipping at my coat! You can't stop me flashing coin, cause I'm on a boat! Trick-shot, trick, I'm on a boat, bitch! I'm drinking dirty kobolds, cause they taste so crisp! I got my swim trunks! And my flippy floppies, I'm flipping lizards, you out crafting straight, flipping copies. Beating up a cold bowl, doing spins on his head, Kobold's losing. On a D20 bet, this ain't flopping. This is real as it gets. I'm on a boat with my guild, don't you ever forget. I'm on a boat and it's going fast and I've got a nautical thief, shield and Kopesh, man. I'm the king of the world, yeah, I'm just like Leo. If you're on the shore, then you're sure not Neo.
Get your down, dog! This action is here!
Get land, I'm on a boat, land lover. Forget trees, I'm up a bottle tree lover. I'm on the deck with my boys, scurvy mother. This boat engine makes noise like no other. Hey mom, you can see me now. On a red wide on the starboard bow. Gonna fly the ship to Venice somehow. Like dizzy hand rain, then it's singing possible.
Yeah, never thought I'd be on a boat. It's a big blue windy road. Storm Reaver, look at me. Oh, never thought I'd see the day when a big boat's coming my way. Leave me when I say this ain't your boat.
A flying bull! A flying bull!
Everybody look at me, cause I'm sailing on a boat.
A flying bull! A flying bull!
Take a good hard look at my guild rockin' boat.
Shawty, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Indeed, and there we have it.
Yeah! Get your ass off! I'm okay, just let it roll. You ready to go? Everybody in there flipping! Oh. Shut your pie hole! Get out of that! That's not Randy Savage. He said like, yeah, this is what Joe B and Randy said. No, this is Scottish Randy Savage. Alright.
Yup. Lessa and Clankenbeard, you guys rule. Alright, let me pop on over there. Like I say, this Stellantis thing just ain't gonna work. Every time I've just been tanking every instance, so guess I'm better off not doing that. So I did want to actually, I can actually go back to the scene here. I was going to show you a couple other things here. I wanted to show you a quick look at what basically the building blocks of, say, one of the old harbor dungeons sort of looks like. And I set them aside to be able to do that. So these are basically all of the dungeon pieces in World Builder. And you can, at least as of 2008 or so, and you can kind of just see sort of what the building blocks of some of those old harbor area dungeons looked like. Can I show you some more hidden places in the world? I think I do have a couple more places I can show you. Yep. You're right, Titan. It's filmed on Atlantis. Cordovan the Lag Bringer. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rename a creature companion that. For sure. Excuse me. I mean, these screenshots are from 2008, so the software itself has actually, you know, been upgraded as well over the years. So to say that this is what it looks like today, no, not really. But this is what it looked like back in the time where some of this stuff existed, was made, so. Cordovan, could I send the items I dropped to everyone by mail? Yes, if I wanted to spend the next couple hours plugging in names of people by a mailbox, I could do that. But probably won't. Sorry. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. It would drive me, it would be a little much. Alright, what else? There's a couple other things I've been meaning to show ya. One thing that I wanted to play, if I can dig it up, take just a second. Where does that set? Where did I find that now? This was... Oh, here we go. I remember where I put it. Alright. Here we go.
I served in the last war. I dealt in death. It was all I knew. But with the war now ended and my home destroyed, I cast my eyes to the horizon and the city a storage. With tales of danger and endless riches, it called to someone like me, a warrior, a mercenary, an adventurer, a lost soul. This time fortune smiled upon me, for I have found many like myself, heroes from the far corners of the world, dealers of death, life, courage. We charge into the abyss, searching for the ultimate reward. Setting steel and magic against impossible foes. And each time I wonder, will this adventure be my last? Now storms gather on the horizon. Evil rises from the waters of despair and misery. An ancient and terrible curse is upon us.
Nice. That party was so gimp. I mean, after all, fighter with a morning star? Jeez. Reroll. Reroll. Why did that intro video get removed? I think it was just mostly that it wasn't autoplayed. You can still find it in the installation folder that you have, I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, right, and the wizards can't cast spells when they're near a beholder. Nice. Just to answer a couple of questions that we had in chat. Any word on fortitude saves being lowered for legendary elite content? Because I have a warlock with 80 charisma and 82 necro DC, and I cannot finger a death a lawful evil Orthon Devil, or a legendary elite Orthon Devil, even 1/5 of the time. I think they literally have to roll a 1. A 100 plus DC is no way sustainable. Is this intentional, or probably to be looked into? I know that we have had discussions about that, but I can't make any promises. But I know that there, you know, one of the reasons we added the increase to DCs with update 29 was to hopefully counter some of that. But if we're still, you know, a ways to go, well, we're still a ways to go then. I would say that the idea of insta-killing a legendary elite mob is not something that should necessarily be depended on. But I don't want to make any kind of official statement about that. Is it working as intended? No, yes. It's not like we're saying, yes, we want you to never be able to save. But is it working by the way the numbers are set to work? Probably. Alright, so where are we here now? This is the second tutorial. The one that came later. This is Euphonia's challenge. This is before the new player experience happened. As you heard Tolero mention, with the start of 2009. We saw it, if I recall correctly, on Lamania a while earlier. But this was what we had up until that point. Yeah, I'll play the Cindy Kobold stuff again, no problem. If I look a little tired, it's because I've been streaming since 9 o'clock this morning. And I'm not even done yet. But I'm having a good time. I'm having a great time, actually. If I'm slowing down a little bit in this last hour, well, come on, man. Let's see you do it. But I am having a great time. I'm so honored to be able to do this. I can't even jump over a box. Yeah, see, this is what Tolero was talking about, how in this section you automatically have your sort of water-breathing helmet on. And then when you get dumped back in the day to the harbor, people would drown in the harbor, kind of like by the lighthouse and all that, because they didn't realize that they could no longer swim and not die. And also, I remember back in the day, this spider could kill you. Not this guy, of course, because I'm on my admin. But normally, yes, there are times I remember actually that this guy could and would kill people in the tutorial. Which was, again, another reason why we had the new player experience. No, I cannot drop Red Dragon skill docents in the live worlds. I apologize, but that is not something I can do. Whew, Euphonia, that was quite the challenge. How does experience make me stronger? Alright. Train. Head to the Rook's Gambit. Which now, as you can see, is in Smuggler's Rest. Prodigy 13 says, are there any plans of ever updating the graphics engine? The last update we saw was for DX11. And we did upgrade to a new version of Havoc, well, within a couple of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago. We have no plans to do it beyond that. Yes! FH Fenter says, that spider killed a few of my tunes. Understood. We should reopen Euphonia's challenge? I kind of agree. Yeah. Any word on the thing that we all sent an advice on the forums for? Yes! You will see it on Monday. Alright, and I wanted to show you this. So, back in the day, if you remember, instead of where the Dreaming Dark is, there used to be a thing called Kobold Island. Kobold Island no longer exists. The pathing does, but since then, instead of being the little Kobold Island, somehow the space ended up getting reused. This is what is left of the old 2006-2007 era Kobold Island. You'll notice it's not very islandy. I don't know the story. Yep. No. I'm going to shed a tear for Kobold Island. Yep. Well, it's true, the challenge Kobold Island is basically the same island. But there used to be an old... This was even pre-wilderness tech area, so it was something like you get small amounts of XP for killing kobolds as optional XP, but it wasn't a wilderness tech, so... Yep. Alright, I have got about an hour or so left on the break. I am going to take a brief break because I need it. So I'm going to get up, stretch, do that kind of thing, and play some more music here for you. I'll get some screenshots up, play a bunch of concept art, and then I'll see about heading over to Wayfinder here for a little bit too. Even though I know you poor Wayfinderians aren't going to know what hit you. Karma Kid saying we got some bans going on in this chat stream. I'm not doing any of that. I don't know. I'm guessing some of our other moderators are doing that, which is perfectly fine. I mean, if people are causing trouble, do it. But none of it's coming from me. I'm too busy to worry about that. But I also haven't been paying enough attention to chat to know if you guys have a, if we have need, then we have need. So there we go. How about I play this one? Alright, see you guys in a bit. Hey, folks, how's it going? Thank you very much for sticking around. Let's see, what have I got? This is the murder ball. Oh yeah, here for our last hour here on our 10th anniversary live stream, twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been some pretty big numbers on Twitch throughout the day, and I really, really do appreciate that. I know we're all honored to have you all here. Before I move on, I'm going to just really quick cycle through my audio. Make sure it sounds as good as it's going to sound. Yep, hopefully that's a little bit better. Grumpy Cuss says, Cordo, was there ever a quest on the top of the hills in Ataraxia, or are there photos of that just photoshopped? If we're looking at Ataraxia's Haven, then no. But I think what you might be looking for is there were some small wilderness areas, like one off Cerulean Hills, one where Searing Heights is now. There was one elsewhere as well. And they were really kind of mini wilderness areas. They didn't have the wilderness tech at the time. So like they didn't have any of the numbers and that kind of thing, like where you'd kill mobs and then get exponentially more and more XP. But they did exist way back in 2006. Unfortunately, I went looking for them to see if they were still existed in World Builder or Code or something, and they don't. I don't know what happened to them. My guess is that space was literally reused for the new wilderness areas, but I'm not sure. Ataraxia in particular, I don't believe so. Hey, Silky Ryan, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Let's see. I know we got a little bit of trolling going on in our chat room. That's okay. Jerry's officially lost a dog. I have. Yep. Pykota, I apologize for Thelanis. I would have loved to get you more stuff. I am going to be on throughout the weekend. I mean, I'm going to be playing DDO a whole bunch this weekend, including on Thelanis. But I'm going to be... I think part of the problem is that when I'm on the live stream here, right, and people know where I am, everyone could pile into that instance all at once, and it's kind of tanking the instance. So if I do it more stealthily, like I just sort of randomly pop on different servers throughout the weekend and then drop things that way, frankly, I'm going to be able to do that before everyone knows I'm there, and I can move more quickly and put things in bushes and things like that, and it's going to be a lot more successful than basically looking at loading screens on our live stream here throughout the night. So I do apologize. I too would have loved to have done more madness spawning and all that sort of thing on the live stream here, but as you saw just on Thelanis and all the other servers I tried it on, I had about 30 seconds, 45 seconds before it all pretty much tanked. And that's not really an IT thing. I mean, like I said, there's a certain upper limit that you can have in an instance, and when everyone ports into that instance like that, it's just what happens. So, anyway, Og, I'm glad to have you here. Can I start from the beginning? Yeah, okay. Let me start all the way back to the start. Hello and welcome. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. You're listening to twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/DungeonsandDragons/live for our 10th anniversary live stream on DDO's Community Manager Cordovan. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, we do have a little bit of trolling going on in our chat room. I don't care. It's fine. Picked a bad weekend to try to spam things on the forums, because I had to work this weekend. So, enjoy. Alright, I'm going to head on over for this last half hour or so onto Wayfinder. See what I can do there. How many coffees? Well, let's see. 4 energy drinks, and this will be my second Diet Mountain Dew. When can we expect robot items? When we bring Expedition to the Barrier Peak. There we go. Which, by the way, I'm not announcing Expedition to the Barrier Peak. Although I would if I could. Why diet? Well, because I'm old. That's why. Unfortunately, my days, you know, of drinking that hardcore stuff with sugar in it. I have to watch my weight. Well, all I know, I'm a fat guy. But hey, whatever. It's okay. I'll be less fat the more I have this. Hello. Revan XXQC. How would you like to be? Very tall. Yes, this is amazing. There you go. Yeah, I'll have you change the current server. There we go. Evil shenanigans, yes, I know. I couldn't help myself. Yeah, I'm not that hard to find. You can just sort of search for Cordovan, figure out which instance I'm in. But I do want to get stuff to the Wayfinderians for as much as I can. Epic Mad Bomber. Yep, that's right. It's just easier to do than running. To be flying. Gives a little more distance between the items, I have found. Go Wayfinder. I guess your smaller population serves us well. In terms of not locking up the instance. First off, let me do a resurrection shrine, just in case. No, I cannot level you to 20. Jeez. Someone in chat's like, can you level me to 20? No. No. Sorry. That wouldn't be right. Appreciate the long shot, but no. Yep, wrong guy to spawn. Let's see. How about if I do? Try this one. Yeah, that guy works pretty good. Invincible Titan. I don't know. Sorry, no encrusted ring from Tower of Despair either. Let me take some suggestions from chat. Let me see if you guys got some good stuff. I'd prefer it be Forgotten Realms if possible, though it doesn't really have to be. How about... Those guys aren't going to spawn. Alright, let me try these guys. I'm trying to think what would be a good one. Can't do dryads because of the thing. How about... I could try that one. Try that one. See, unfortunately they're not. Oh, no, they turn red again. Ooh, that's a possibility too. Yeah, I'm not going to do Sharda or Kai because those guys are pretty rough. No, I can't do Lolth's Hand either for the same reason. Oh, these harpies are causing troubles. Too many particle effects. I like the idea of the one. Let me see if I can do that. I want to try something. Oh, hey, see, how you doing? If I bring him over here to start with, it's a little out of the area. Now, if I use the server property to make him gigantic. Oh, whirling blades, that's interesting. I actually could show you something there. Oh, that's a good question. I can bring out this guy as well. Anyway, the DPS test kobold is just obviously not going to work because of the issues we've been having in the live servers, but this weekend I should be able to do it. Let me go bring out the kobold just so you can see what's his deal is. Well, see, the squirrels would be too hard because I have to individually target them, right? So. I could, however. There's too many people on top of them. Where did he go? Let's see. Make the area PvP pit. I could actually do that, but I won't. Ooh, a giant wisp is a good idea. Although they cause a lot of light. Generally things that cause a lot of light can be lag-tastic, so. Yeah, Z332. I'm basically, I've got my community loot list that I can give out for items, and so that'll be the same kind of stuff that I'll be doing throughout. It's not pooping. It is spawning monsters. It just looks like it's coming from... No, I'm not even going to say it. Rated T for teen. What's the name of the big cube in Red Fens? I can't think of the name right off the top of my head because I've been streaming too long. Is that this one? I think it's this one. Unfortunately, it ain't gonna work. And unfortunately, I can't target him either, so I think we're just out of luck. Bimmer. I'm killing. Causing problems in Evening Star. Let's see, what else could I do? How about... Oops, I want to make 120 of them. That might be a bit much. Alright, we got about 10 minutes left, so I've got just a couple more things since we're running out of time. I mean, I could go longer, but I'm not because I'm tired. You're right, this first server they didn't lag out. Go, Wayfinder. Time to get sexy. thought I'd wrap up the stream with everyone's favorite succubi. Hope you guys have a great time. I really appreciate you joining me for our 10th anniversary live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream and youtube.com/dungeonsanddragons/live. Thank you very, very much for being here. It's been a long road getting from there to here. Yep. So I'll be back at around 10:30 tonight, right on this channel, same channel. We're going to be joined by Lessa, Mythery, and Saba Jade with the Damsels of DDO. Can let you know as well that I will be also on DDO Cast. That'll be Saturday at 1 p.m. And we'll kind of have to see what's going on. I'll be back in the office. Like I said, on Saturday, I'll be in the game worlds, spawning your stuff, killing you, doing some things that I couldn't get done on the live stream here. Probably be having some turbine points away and all that too, including that on the forums. And Monday, we have 8 a.m. to noon downtime for the release of Update 30 for DDO. Alright, everyone. Thank you very much. I love ya. Happy 10th anniversary. And I'm out. See ya.